It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for September 11th, 2023. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, a lot of people are playing Starfield, and Embracer is looking to yeet Gearbox off to someone else. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host of Game Mess Mornings. It's Cam Hawkins, everybody. Cam, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm pretty good. You know, I'm wearing my PAX shirt.
I was gonna say, we're both wearing some PAX stuff right now.
Did you wait? Did you wait in that merch line at Nintendo?
So the first day I went, I saw it was funny because I thought the outside, like people that were waiting outside, that was like kind of like a rest area.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh no, this is the line to get in. And so I told myself like the next day, I'm just gonna go there like first thing.
Yeah, we tried to do that.
Yeah, and thankfully, like there was someone there with like the all access that would just let us walk in. We didn't have to wait in line like with everyone else. So we were just waiting in the front of the line, and once it opened up, we just got in there. So we got in and out of there in like 15, 20 minutes.
That's what I see. That was our plan, and we should have done that. We got there at 10, and we got in. PR helped us get in. Shout out to Golan and all that. Then we
shout out to them.
Yeah. Then we so we're like waiting there, and it's like, well, the merch isn't going to open until 11. And we're like, okay, we should go get more B-roll and do a couple other things. So then we come back, and apparently they opened the line at like 10:30, and the line was already several hours long. And we're like, we'll wait. And then we're waiting outside with the sun beating down on us. And then someone's like, once you get through this line, it's another like hour wait. Once you're inside, it's oh my, okay, all right, never mind.
Yeah,
can't do this. Thankfully, I saw Chris String, and he was like, hey, I'll get you something. So I got my wife a Pikmin sweater, and that was pretty good. But yeah, PAX was a good time. It was great seeing you. It was a lot of fun to see, like just a ton of people hanging out again. That for me, that's what PAX is about at this point. It's just hang out with people.
Oh yeah,
and not worrying about too much work, like seeing games and stuff. Although I did see a handful of games. You had a panel, right? You did your Kingdom Hearts panel. You scolded people for not paying attention, is my understanding. No, that's the name of the panel was like you weren't paying. It's like, what is it? It's like Kingdom Hearts isn't confusing. You just weren't paying attention, which I love. I love that name.
Yeah. No, I mean, I do think that when it comes to like the main plot of Kingdom Hearts, it is pretty straightforward. You just have to play the games in release order, and you'll know what's going on. But there are obviously a bunch of subplots and things like that.
Oh, sure.
Where you can definitely get lost in the weeds. Like I'm not like Kingdom Hearts isn't perfect. I'm not even going to pretend that it is, but I do think that like it is pretty understandable as long as you play like the main plot of things, as long as you play the games in release order.
Cam, we're gonna you mentioned that we should do something when I said you were going to be on the show, and you're like, we should do a JRPG console draft, and we're going to do that. Before we do that, real quick though, like anywhere else you want to tell people where they could find you, all that stuff, and like tell them a little bit about yourself as I get this set up. Yeah.
So you can follow me on Cam Final Mix on like all the socials that you can think of. I have a Kingdom Hearts podcast, Unlocking Kingdom Hearts, which is kind of like a book club podcast where each game is dedicated to a specific entry in the series. And we have myself, Alexa Ray Correa, who is also a big Kingdom Hearts nerd, and Jonathan Dornbush, who used to write for IGN. He's now at Naughty Dog. We're all experts on Kingdom Hearts, and then Kevin Diaz over at PlayStation Source. He's a newbie, and he wanted to get into the series, and so you have someone new that is
could be an audience surrogate for people who are just kind of like listening to podcasts as their way to get onboarded onto something.
Exactly, and just a way for them, because normally I feel like Kev is going to be asking the questions naturally that other people might be curious about.
That's a really good idea.
So yeah, and we're about 4 or 5 games in now. Recoded is the next episode that should be out next month. And that's funny enough, it's like by far the worst game in the series. But once we get over this, he'll I think there's 2 or 3 episodes left. After that, and then outside of that, me and Alexa Ray Correa are co-writing a book on Kingdom Hearts through limited run or press run. It's going to be kind of like a compilation of essays about the series. There are some things that we want to try and make happen that are pretty ambitious, but like we don't want to like say what, because we don't want people to like expect anything for sure, or like think that we're making any sort of promises. But there's some cool stuff that we like want to put into fruition that like hopefully happens. But if not, it's going to be a good book. If you don't know, Alexa Ray Korea has already written a book on Kingdom Hearts.
That's right.
Through Boss Fight Books. So if you want to kind of get somewhat of an idea of what this book is going to be, check that book out. You can buy it on Amazon. It's like $15 maybe. It's a great book. So cool. Check that out as well.
Awesome. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take turns picking out JRPGs. We're gonna have 6 games each. Then we're gonna have the audience vote on it by the end of this episode. Okay. We're gonna make this happen pretty quick. Cam, you can go first. What's the first game on the Cam JRPG console?
I mean, I would be dumb to not pick Chrono Trigger. I would be dumb not to pick Chrono Trigger. Yeah,
it's definitely it's the one I think the most fan favorite, right? It's kind of the easiest one to make happen. This is I feel like for these, it's always like I have an idea of what I want to pick, but I always feel like I have to pick the thing that would be the scariest if you then picked it. So you picked Chrono Trigger. I think it'd be bad if you had this one as well, just because the name Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, okay. My next pick is Final Fantasy VI.
Final Fantasy VI. I mean that it's one side or the other, half a dozen, however that saying goes. All right, I'm gonna go with. Okay, so with these things, it's like you got to like what's gonna move the needle the most. I'm gonna go with Persona 5.
Okay. My next one, I'm going to do Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix. That's my favorite game of all time. I genuinely think it's one of the best JRPGs ever made.
Can we, I think what we should do is like for stuff like, because there's like, Persona 3 or 4 Golden, or whatever. Can I just put Kingdom Hearts 2? Do you think that would be okay? Or do you want me to put Final Mix in there?
I think that when people think about Kingdom Hearts 2, Final Mix is the definitive version. They do add
if you
significant
think that,
stuff
if it helps
to
your case down, but I'll put Final Mix in there.
Sure. It would help my case.
All right, definitely. All right, then I'm gonna try to hit another fan base. I think I'm gonna go with Dragon Quest 11.
Okay. After that, I'm gonna pick. Oh man, like I know this. I know I could pick something. I know the fans might be like question mark on this, but I'm gonna pick Pokemon Gold, Silver, Crystal. Or if I can only pick one crystal. Man, but like I feel like that they're all kind of more or less the same.
No, that's right. That's how we would do this. Man, that was a really good one. That threw me off. I'm gonna go with. Let's see here. I'm gonna go with Suikoden 2. I'm gonna hope that the real nerds help me out here.
That one was on my list. That one was on my list.
All right, 2 more.
Next up on Persona 4 Golden.
Damn it, that really cuts out my Persona 5. I would hope I'll put Royal there just to clarify.
Yeah, Royal. No, yeah, you should put Royal.
Yeah. Okay, what was I just had an idea. Oh, yep, Super Mario RPG. There we go. Always have Mario in there if you can. That turns out people like to see Mario in a list.
Oh man,
last one.
So funny enough, like I had 3 more picks ready. Funny enough, the next one I had, if it wasn't picked, was Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door.
All right, is that what you're going with? That's a really good one too.
Yeah, I think that's the one I'm picking. Yeah, I feel like the other 2 are just a little bit too niche. Where like people will be like, "Oh yeah, Thousand Year Door
is beloved."
Yeah.
I'm like wondering if I should double dip on a series or if I should go with something completely different. Man, I kind of want to go with maybe a strategy RPG or something to like really get out there. But yeah, you know what? I will. I'm gonna go with Fire Emblem Awakening.
That was my next pick. Let's go. That was my next pick.
All right. There you go. Audience, you saw. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just put A and B here. We'll put it up on Twitter and we'll see who wins at the end of this episode. That was fun, Cam. Good job. All right, let me do that real quick, everybody, and then we'll get this episode started for real.
They'll wonder whose list is mine when I with Kingdom Hearts 2 on
it. Which is best. Okay, and then the reply. And we are live.
But I do think that like every time you tweeted between you and Mike, I always picked yours. You had the better console.
I'm the best at this, of course. Yes. We'll see what happens. Either way, it's a good time. A or B. And set it to an hour. There we go. Okay. All right. Let's do this. But first, let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Warnings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Gearbox could be up for sale. Embracer reportedly seeking buyers. There we go. We actually are on the right scene. Okay. Actually, did I ever go over here? There you go. Everyone can take a look there. There's a look. I don't know if I ever actually showed everybody what we were picking. There you go. Okay. This is Darren Bonthus at GameSpot. Gearbox Entertainment might be up for sale again, as reports have begun to surface that owner Embracer Group is looking for potential buyers for the company behind the Borderlands and Brothers in Arms franchise. That's a series I haven't thought about in a while. Speaking to Reuters, 3 sources familiar with the matter explain that Embracer has received interest from prospective buyers. How much Embracer would look to potentially sell Gearbox for remains a mystery, but for context, Gearbox originally purchased was originally purchased for 1.3 billion back in February. I think it's actually up to 1.3-ish billion, depending on how well the studio performed after that. But either way, they spent a lot of money on a Gearbox. If Embracer decides to sell Gearbox, the high price tag for the company will likely be one that can only be met by other major game publishers. Gearbox marketing materials are already available for potential buyers, which consist mainly of international gaming groups, said 2 of the people, according to a Reuters report. Well, adding that, the 2 of the sources mentioned that this deal is still in a very nebulous state right now. Cam, Embracer just seems like they have done the full whiplash now, and they've gone from embracing the entire world to now looking to sell studios that they just bought. One of the marquee studios as well. One of the ones that you would expect to be would be the backbone of this entire strategy. But it's starting to feel like, what strategy? There's nothing happening there. There's no there. This is a publisher that is in distress already. And the studios that might have value, they need that money to even make the whole operation work, right?
Yeah, it's really upsetting to see. Because, with Gearbox, when I think Gearbox, I think Borderlands. I know that they do other things. They publish other games. But I feel like that is the big sell for that company. And seeing that they bought this company and they're now just thinking about selling it, it's just what are you doing? Because I remember when they bought the Crystal Dynamics, the Western Square Enix suite of studios.
Yeah.
I wrote an editorial thinking this is actually a win-win, because Square doesn't really care about these studios, and now a studio is buying them, and it may be a fresh start for these studios to to have the support that they need. But this is just sending the direct opposite message. It makes it feel like that they have no idea what they're doing. It feels like that they are just buying studios to potentially make money, but they don't know any sort of strategy onto marketing their assets. And it's just I just don't know I just don't know. Anything can happen at this point. And maybe it's one of those things that once they do, unfortunately, sell some of these companies, that they may get their act together. But it definitely feels like that they just completely extended on the amount of things that they could purchase, and now we're seeing they're realizing that, and they now have to revert back, and it's it's sad to see.
Yeah, it does seem like they were operating under the assumption that money would keep coming in for at least a couple more years, and
you got to spend money to make money, that type of mentality.
Exactly, and it's there's definitely something to that. It's just you got to have a mitigation plan in effect for when things go bad quick, and which they did. And and now borrowing money because really what happened here, interest rates went up, and that's not just like them borrowing money, but money flowing into investments or whatever definitely began tightening. And so they are no longer able to get that cheap money in Europe, something I talk about a lot, which is like, hey, it was relatively easy for a European big corporation to get a hold of capital and then use that to buy a bunch of studios that were undervalued in other territories or in Europe itself. And you could see the strategy there of like, oh, well, this, if you get a certain critical mass going there, you can be a big publisher. But can you? It's like it definitely seems like, well, maybe you could. Maybe in a perfect world, this was all going to work out. But clearly, that's not the world we live in. And so now this big publisher has to figure out how to like get over this immediate hump it created for itself of just getting so large and unwieldy. And to the point where now that when they have all of these games that are coming out now and are succeeding, it's not enough. And now Embracer Group has to be like, we need to completely rethink everything. And that means abandoning this strategy, selling off some of these assets. I mean, this is the company that now owns the Lord of the Rings IP. And it's like, that's how much stuff they were out there buying. The Lord of the Rings IP, at the very least, they know they have one interested party that's willing to spend a lot of money, and that's Amazon. So they can kind of maybe keep some of that stuff going, keep that gravy chain rolling. But when it comes to Borderlands, it's like, okay, well, 2K is doing a little bit with Borderlands, but I don't have the sense that Borderlands is the future of 2K's business. Like they mostly have squeezed the juice out of that rock, right? And so now they're in a situation where it's like it is either going to be diminishing returns, or you have to invest big so that Borderlands 4 feels like some big new thing. And does Embracer have the appetite to do that, to work with 2K, to figure that out? Does 2K want to work with Embracer on that stuff? We don't know these things. So, it's a weird situation. There was never really an actual plan here. That's the biggest thing. And now all these studios are paying the price because this big corporation was just trying to expand way too fast. Do you think that in a year, we are talking about Embracer maybe looking to sell even more of its studios, not just like Gearbox, but or not even just sell its studios, but maybe starting to wind down in terms of, hey, like bankruptcy, things like that? Do you think that's a possibility?
I mean, it's definitely possible. Like, I feel like we're seeing a lot of stuff happening pretty fast, and so, and I think that Embracer's kind of in a headspace. As someone who's a big Borderlands fan, right? I think that there's a lot of stuff that they could do with the Borderlands IP. I think that there's like potential to make, they're doing the movie. I think that there's possibility to do like an animated show or like even a live action show. Like, I think that Borderlands is suffering from the same problem that Star Wars suffers from, where like it's always all focused around like the Skywalkers, and like that kind of thing. And they're with the games and the movie, and like there are some side stories that we have seen, tales from the Borderlands. I haven't played New Tales yet, but like even those, they at the end of the day ended up connecting to the main plot of Borderlands. And like I do think that there would be ways that they could implement that to make its own thing that's still in the Borderlands world, because it's really the world. I mean, the characters are great too, but the world is what I think that really attracts people to that franchise. And so I think that Embracer has been approaching these acquisitions as like, hey, we're going to take these things and just license it out, and that's how we're making our money. Like, they're not really focusing on, hey, like, let's make these really cool ideas with these IPs that we have to make something new and interesting and make people want to like check out the other things that we're working on. Because especially people that are like us that follow the industry intimately, like when you think about like, oh, this Embracer Group studio is doing this, I'm really interested in seeing what this Embracer studio is doing now. And like, again, there's nothing that makes me think that is the case, which makes me really sad, because I really love Crystal Dynamics, and I like the Tomb Raider Crystal Dynamics games more than most people do. Like, I prefer them over the Uncharted games, at least the first two Tomb Raider games.
Sure.
And so like I really am excited for this return to Tomb Raider, but now with all this stuff happening, I'm
Right.
like,
How much faith can you have in that? Yeah.
yeah, it you lose faith in these studios because of their management, and that's just like a bad feeling to have when you know that team is talented. So I really don't know. It's like, it would not be surprising. It would be more surprising if it didn't happen than if it did happen.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to. I don't want to be too pessimistic about it. Like, I do think that I do think that, like, I think obviously they've realized, like, hey, we messed up. We need to figure things out. And I think hopefully in the next year there still will be some losses, but they're going to really hone in and figure their stuff out. If that doesn't happen, they need a new change of, like, the top. They need to, like, replace. They need to get a new CEO. They need to get a new board. Like, whatever they got to do, that's got to change.
Yeah. I think I also don't want to be too pessimistic. The issue here, though, is you look at what they're doing, and, like, it's hard to look at this and see a path to all this making sense suddenly. Like, they closed Volition. They laid off a bunch of people. They have already laid people off at Gearbox specifically. There's no sign that they're done making cuts. And it's like, okay, so what, they're going to make themselves more streamlined, more agile, as these companies always say. And it's like, to what end? I guess reducing costs, clearly. But, a good way to reduce cost is to never buy some companies in the first place. And it's like, they weren't doing that. So, like, you're buying these companies to then cut them back. It's like, were you trying to grow really big, or that's just not an option anymore. So your only option now is to cut. Like, I don't see a world in which, like, you flip the switch from, we're trying to get as big as possible, as quick as possible, to now being like, all right, well, we got really big. Now we have to, like, get small again so all these hits can begin making us actual profit. It's I don't know if it's going to work that way. That's like a really tough thing to pull off, and it's a tough thing to pull off without destroying morale, without scaring away a bunch of senior talented developers who are actually going to make these games for you, who are probably going to be like, I'm getting off this sinking ship, I'm going to go somewhere else, and then suddenly, like, there's no one to make your games. So it's just a bad situation over there. I think it was pretty easily predictable. I think as people who've been paying attention, we talked about Embracer for a while now. Most people are like, this doesn't make a lot of sense, what's going on over there. And I mean, for years now, I've been trying to talk to Lars Wingefors, the CEO over Embracer, and they never want to talk about this stuff. So if they have a plan, they are being quiet about it. It doesn't seem like they have a plan.
Yeah. No response is telling. So
exactly. All right, we got a whole bunch more news coming up after this, but first we're going to hit a quick break. We'll be right back. Okay, let's get into more news. Starfield debuts at #1 in the UK box charts. This is from Sophie McAvoy at gamesindustry.biz. Starfield has topped the UK physical charts this week. GfK's report showed that the space action RPG sold more physical copies on Xbox than it did on PC. Not too surprising. Starfield's premium upgrade, a box with a code that provided early access to the digital version, has fallen to number 34 after debuting at number 7 last week. This version experienced a 71% decrease in sales due to the game's wider release on September 6th. The Xbox exclusive reached over 6 million players in 2 days, making it Bethesda's biggest launch of all time. Then there was more to this chart, but we'll get to the rest of that here in a second. Starfield being #1 physical, like, that's pretty good. There was some more details here. It's like, it's not like the top selling physical game in the UK this year, but it's among the, like, it did better than Diablo 4 did, apparently. And Diablo 4 is on PlayStation 5 and Xbox, and then Starfield's selling faster physically in the UK than Diablo 4. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's really surprising.
Yeah, exactly.
I know a lot of people really like Diablo, and, like, granted, Starfield was the game that people were looking forward to. I think that there was more excitement behind it, while Diablo 4 is just like, oh, for the real Diablo sickos, like, this was like, oh yeah, like, we've been waiting for this. But for, I think, the mainstream audience, it's like, oh, okay, like, I like Diablo 3, I want to try out Diablo 4. But when it comes to, like, a Bethesda Todd Howard RPG, there's just a level of excitement behind that you just can hardly compare to,
Mm-hmm.
And so it hitting #1 is not surprising.
Right.
but seeing the rest of this list is pretty surprising. Like I don't know like what's going on here, but because I see like Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate still on this like top 10.
Yeah,
like
that must have got like a sale or something that like boosted it or something. I think it did a pretty aggressive sale.
But you know, I think that it's all earned, all understood. I know that Starfield, you know, from some outlets it was pretty mixed on the reception, but as people have gotten their hands on it, a lot of people are really loving it, and it's what they wanted from Starfield, and that's great for the Bethesda team. And I'm excited. You know, I've only hopped in a little bit because there's just like a lot of games happening right now, but I'm really excited to like fully hop in and give it my attention. And yeah, so exciting.
Yeah, the thing to know about Starfield in the UK when it comes to physical sales is like this is a little bit more impressive because Xbox, the physical sales don't do great in the UK. A lot of people in the UK bought Xbox Series S's, and they are buying their games all digital. This is something that Games Industry Up is every week with the GFK report. They explain like, hey, the physical does much worse on Xbox than digital, even relative to other consoles. So the fact that Starfield is number one physical, and then you can expect that digital did very, very well as well.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, then there's Game Pass on top of that. So
yeah, which is the really surprising thing is like with Game Pass, like it's still sold this well, and I mean like but the thing is, there is an audience that where having a physical copy still matters a lot to them. And so it's but it just shows like how big of an achievement this is for its specific region, because a lot of people, they primarily play on PlayStation, not on Xbox, and they, you know, for the people that for a lot of people that have that PlayStation 5, they're like, I want to get the S because I'm going to play really only Game Pass and exclusive titles on this S, and then play everything else on my PlayStation. So yeah, it's really surprising. I really didn't even like consider that when we first talked about it, but yeah, it's great. It's a much needed win for Xbox. You know.
It's kind of hard to deny, like, regardless of how people feel about the game, it's like it's doing what it was supposed to do in terms of getting people excited about either Game Pass or buying games on there. And it's another example of Game Pass is an option. A lot of people certainly played it through that subscription, but video gamers like to buy games, and they continue to do so, and they're going to continue to do so. And even these games that are the marquee, like, hey, just get it in Game Pass. Like, why would you buy this? Millions of people are saying, well, I just buy games. I'm going to buy this. Of course, I'm going to buy this. And it's so for Microsoft, that's continues to be a pretty good sign, I think, because it's like it gives them a buffer space on figuring out how to make the Game Pass strategy fully work. And really, it's like it is working how it needs to work today, which is a supplement to people buying games. It's both a supplement for the consumer in terms of, hey, you have this option, and it's a supplement for Microsoft. It's like, well, this is, people are still buying games, but then some people are doing the subscription, and then we're hitting like these slightly different audiences. So it's working out well for them.
What are your I don't want to go too much longer on this, but what are your thoughts on the premium upgrade? Like the idea of, hey, pay $35, you get the Steelbook, you get the early access to the game, and I believe you get the DLC, right? The expansion that's going to come out eventually. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are that people can get the Columbros episode from the Game Mess Decides podcast early if they give us a little bit extra money on Patreon. It's like everyone does this, and I'm sort of okay with it. I know there's some people that like have a philosophical difference or a problem with this, but it's like it doesn't seem that egregious. It's very easy for people to wait a week, I think. It's if you want, and it's a personal choice, and I'm like, people, these companies are always going to try to squeeze more money out of you. Like that's it's hard for me to get too up in arms about that these days. I don't know. How do you feel?
I think it's an interesting model, right? Because like I'm someone who loves Steelbooks, so for me, I wasn't really the being able to play 4 days early thing didn't really matter to me. It's like, oh, I get a Steelbook and then I get the access to the DLC for $35. That doesn't seem that bad, and then I get the 4 days as a bonus, which is probably like the opposite of like how they probably tried to market this thing. It's like, hey, you get to play the game 4 days early, and then you get these other things on top of that. And so I think I do think it's an interesting model, and I do think that it is something that we might see more of moving forward, whether it be from Xbox or other
it's worked out
players.
great for Xbox so far. Forza Horizon 5 did it, and they had a lot of people playing that early. And so Xbox is 100% going to keep doing it. I think it's a really good supplement to Game Pass again, where it's like, this is, like you either get the Game Pass people, or if you're going to have the very excited people who are going to buy it, maybe find a way to get a little bit more money out of them. The whole idea is like, gamers are people who will spend more money on the things they really like. And you can do extra stuff with software that you can't do with a lot of other things. Like, it would be hard to have the early version of a movie that people pay extra for at the theaters to go see. Like, what does that look like? That's kind of tough to pull off. And I do think people would get kind of mad about that. They have a certain idea of what ticket prices are supposed to be. We are a little bit more malleable as gamers, and they are 100% taking advantage of that. They are taking advantage of us, like, without a doubt. But that's capitalism. What am I supposed to do about this at this point? I just can't. I can't get mad about it anymore. So yeah, I'm fine with it. And if, like Marino was saying, if it's a game I'm really excited about, sometimes it kind of feels fun to play it early. So yeah. More Starfield news. Todd Howard says Starfield mod support is on the way next year. This is from Will Nelson at PC Games In. Starfield is getting official mod support, and Bethesda Game Studios game director Todd Howard has outlined what we can roughly expect. With Starfield mods already everywhere, offering up joke changes and some sizable improvements, knowing we have to wait until next year for more in the RPG game does sting a bit. In response to a Famitsu question about modding in Starfield, which is already well underway within the community, Howard says that official Bethesda support is coming next year. When the mods are ready, you will be able to do almost anything as we have done in the past, and the mods will be supported next year, but we will do it in a big way because we love to do it. Howard's quote in Famitsu has been machine translated and edited for clarity. This is kind of usually how it works, I believe. It's been a long time since Skyrim and even Fallout 4, but I'm pretty sure like there's usually a gap between the games coming out and the official mod support. Obviously, modders have a lot of familiarity with the tools that Bethesda uses, which is why we're getting so many mods so early. But that official mod support will then unlock even more creativity. And I expect mods to be a big thing in Starfield for years. Oh, yeah. There already seem to be, that community already seems very excited about it. So, and I'm a big mod guy, so I'm looking forward to this in the future. But I don't know. How about you? Every time I ask someone on this show this question, most people don't play with mods ever. How do you play usually?
I normally don't play with I'm a console person. If I can play it on a console, that's where I like to play it. Nothing against like PC gaming or anything like that.
You're not that clown Greg Miller.
But but when it comes to I do think he makes some fair points about the troubleshooting and things like that. That happens. But
he has never made a fair point in his life. He needs to go back in his hole where he belongs. Sorry, keep going.
No, I love it. And so there are certain things where like Skyrim, right? I've never played Skyrim because there are giant spiders in that game. I have severe arachnophobia. I can't do it.
Sure.
But there is instances where I'm like, do I want to like get Skyrim on PC and just like put in the no spider mod or whatever it may be to take care of that. And arachnophobia modes in video games have become more commonplace.
Yes, they have.
Square Enix, where is it for Final Fantasy 16? Where is it? And so like those are like really the only instances where I would see myself doing something like that. But I do see the cool mods. Like I'm one of those people when I see like, oh, like they added like the Master Sword and like the Herulian Shield into Skyrim. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like it's the buzz. I'm like, oh, I gotta play Skyrim now, and I gotta have the Master Sword, but the mod community is super important with Bethesda RPG specifically. I'm really interested in seeing like what people are going to do in that space. But I'm just kind of an observer. I'm just like, yeah, that's cool. That's cool that you were able to make that work.
Yeah, I think that's how most people like to read about it in news stories, where it's like, oh yeah, Thomas the Tank Engine again. Here we go. And like the Nick Cage flashlight in Starfield that everyone's not everyone, someone was mad about. But it's like, yeah, like that's totally fair. I think at a certain point, It really can change the way you play. I ended up like running like this bathhouse in Skyrim. There was a mod for that. It's like fun to like turn these games into like these light business management sims occasionally. And I also like the idea of going back to a Bethesda game and sort of rolling a completely random character that starts at a random place in the world instead of being like, you know, the chosen one. Like that's how I'll probably play it in a couple plays from now or whatever. So any mod that enables that sort of thing, I'm down with. But yes, at the very, you see playing console, Bethesda is the one company that does the work to bring a lot of mods to console. They're Bethesda.
Yeah.
You have to like connect your Bethesda account, but once you do that, you just go on the PC, click a bunch of buttons, and then you load up the game on your console. And it's like, all right, just click this button to play with the mods, and it's real easy. It's actually pretty impressive that they made that work, and I expect them to do that fully with Starfield going forward as well. The Elder Scrolls 6 is officially in early development, but don't expect to hear about it soon. This is from Ryan Dinsdale at IGN. Bethesda has confirmed that its highly anticipated role-playing game, The Elder Scrolls 6, which was officially announced in 2018, has entered early development. Speaking to Vandal about the imminent release of Starfield, Bethesda head of publishing Pete Hines confirmed that the Skyrim sequel has completed the pre-production stage and moved into the development phase. Cam, we could kind of like talk about this, but there's a specific thing I want to talk about here. Starfield's engine, which engine talk is always a perilous thing for people who play games, because you're going to hear developers being like, you don't know what you're talking about. That's fair. So let's say the style of Starfield, that kind of the visual look of it. It's very stiff. I think it begins to feel feeling a little bit old in a lot of ways, especially when you go to something like New Atlantis, which I think looks really beautiful a lot of the time. Then you look at any foliage and it's these stiff, completely still plastic looking trees. And in 5 or 6 years, when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, that stuff's going to feel even less acceptable than it does now, I think. So I'm wondering, Cam, there was the recent rumors, or maybe even confirmed, that they're doing a remake of Oblivion where they're going to pair up the engines, where it's going to have the creation engine from Bethesda like do a lot of stuff in the background, and then they're going to pair it up with the Unreal Engine for the visuals. Do you think there's a chance that they're doing that so that they could be ready to make Elder Scrolls 6 in the same way, where the visuals are done by Unreal Engine?
Yeah, I mean, like that makes sense to me. I think that Unreal is, from what everyone's been saying, is just a very approachable engine and resource. Like Kingdom Hearts 3 was made on Unreal. It like more or less restarted development because they switched engines to Unreal. And I think that we've just seen a lot of people move to that tool, that it, kind of based on what you're saying, that like if they want to make the environments look better, they want it, but they still want to use the kind of special assets that are used in creation for their RPGs moving forward. That I don't know the ins and outs of game development, so I don't know like how that really works, where it's just like, hey, we're going to implement like this engine with this and this engine with that.
I don't really know how that would work either,
and how to optimize that in a way that it's going to feel good to play. It's going to run well. That is something that I would love to learn more about. But if they can make it work, cool. If they can't make it work, they should like definitely figure out what their alternative is going to be, instead of like potentially working on this for years and then realizing like, hey, this isn't really working, and now we got to more or less restart development for this massive game. And so like, with this Oblivion thing, like who knows when that's going to come out. I mean, surely it's going to come out before Elder Scrolls 6 if it is a real thing. But like Elder Scrolls 6, like I'm not expecting till like the next decade. Like I'm like, I'm expecting it in 2030. Like, that's just the situation with that.
That's going to be the poll question. Do you think we're playing Elder Scrolls 6 on this generation of consoles or the next generation of consoles?
I would be shocked if we played it by this generation of consoles.
Yep, I'm right there with you. Gotham Knights has been rated for Nintendo Switch. This comes from Vicky Blake at Eurogamer. Surprise, it looks like Gotham Knights is coming to Nintendo Switch. Until now, the game has only been playable on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X. NS, but according to an update to the North American Ratings Board, the SRB, it looks like the action RPG will shortly be making an appearance on Nintendo Switch 2. As spotted by the Eagle Eye folks on the Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit, nothing else about the rating listing has changed beyond the sneaky addition of Nintendo Switch to the platform list. Of course, it cites all the issues with the game the SRB might have, but that is weird and surprising, especially considering that the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 version of this game, I think, got canceled. So it's like they were working on a version of this game that might have been optimized enough to run on the Switch, maybe. Now we're getting this. This is weird, but this also feels like the kind of thing that could pop up in a Nintendo Direct this week if that were to happen. I don't know. What do you think, Cam?
I'm kind of surprised.
Really
just simply
surprised. Yeah.
I'm because Gotham Knights did. I don't know how well Gotham Knights sold, but I feel like it wasn't great.
Right.
But also it's WB, and WB has like fuck you money. They can just like do what they want. And there might and I know that they have done some updates to that game since its launch. And it might be in a better place now. I haven't really returned to it to see. Then maybe they're like, hey, like the Switch is such a big platform that it is worth the investment to get it over there and see how it performs. But I do think that, like, yeah, if it does exist, we'll probably see it in this Direct that we're supposed to get this week, or that's rumored for this week. But cool, good. Hopefully it performs well for them, or like, I mean, like, I don't want to say that because I think the game is fine, right? Like,
it's
I think
fine.
it's fine. But cool. That's all I can really say.
Right. It's just, man, it's just hard to imagine. I suppose maybe it's one of those cloud versions. The SRB would probably still do, but it's like, is that worth it at that point? Does anyone really buy those things? I guess the Batman universe is popular enough that, especially, I think they probably are seeing like the needle move with that Batman Arkham trilogy that they were launching on the Switch. And they're like, oh, there was a lot of excitement about that. We got a lot of pre-orders. I don't think that came out yet. And they're like, well, what else can we do? But this is coming so soon. If it's getting rated, they must have made this decision a while ago. I will be very surprised to see I'm very interested to see how this runs, because I'm just not expecting good things from it on the Switch.
Nope.
Yep.
Nope.
All right, we're gonna keep moving here. A new Nintendo patent suggests Switch 2 may finally solve stick drift. This comes from David Smith at Kotaku. If a new patent is anything to go by, which it probably isn't, Nintendo may finally have a solution for the persistent Joy-Con drift that has affected so many of its controllers over the years. The same day the reports emerged that Nintendo has been holding closed-doors demos for prospective new Switch 2 hardware, a series of new patents filed by the Japanese hardware manufacturer appeared on a U.S. Patent Office's website. The filings seemingly depict parts that comprise the rumored new hardware. As spotted by Dexerto, among the filings are details of a new joystick that deploys a magnetic field to communicate movement through the controller. This is known as Hall effect joysticks, everybody. We've talked about these before. In fact, this one doesn't have it, but the version for the Switch that I have over there does have Hall effect joysticks. And the whole idea here is they won't ever drift. You can use them for 20 years and they're not going to drift. All other mechanical joysticks will eventually drift. They just will eventually break. So that's a pretty cool thing, Cam. I think the other thing here is there's no guarantee that these things find their way into the base Joy-Con or whatever controllers Nintendo uses for the next Switch out of the gate. We can be, they're patenting this stuff and they're going to use it. Well, they patent stuff all the time and don't use it. I hope they do. I think it would make sense, but I just don't know if like Nintendo. I don't know. Maybe the having to repair all those Joy-Cons, because they did do like the lifetime warranty in the United States at least. Yeah. Maybe that was enough of a sting that, like, you know what? Let's just avoid this. Even if we have to like pay a couple pennies more per component, it's going to be worth it in the end. I don't know. What do you think? Do you expect the next Switch is going to launch with these upgraded sticks?
I mean, like, I think I don't know how the business of like manufacturing prior to patenting something, but like we know that this has been a thing that's been more or less made already with some third-party controllers.
The Dreamcast had Hall effect sensors, so that's how old Hall effect sensors are.
Yeah, and there's also been like other third-party controllers that have found like to make driftless sticks.
Yep.
That like I think that they should be able to, if they know that it works, they could start manufacturing that and then patenting it like after, so that like when it comes out, there's no real issues. So if that is an approach that they can do, again, I do not know if that is like legal. Then I could see it coming out with the Switch 2. If that is rumored to come out like probably fall of next year around that time. And but if it doesn't, like I honestly haven't, and it might be just a thing that I haven't had an issue with it personally. I've never had stick drift issues with my Joy-Cons, but I have had it with my PS5 controllers, and so which I feel like isn't talked about as much. So it might be a thing where just because I haven't experienced it, I think it's a little bit over talked about,
Overstated. Yeah, sure.
But with Nintendo, Nintendo being like, hey, we're gonna like deal with all of your stick drift issues moving forward, and Nintendo is like the last company to do something like that unless it was a real issue. So it's cool that they realize that it's an issue. Whether or not it does end up coming with the Switch 2 remains to be seen. Because even with the Switch 1, right, like the original Switch, they did their base model. They knew that there was like a battery life issue, and not too long after, they released an updated model with a longer battery life. And so I could see them doing something similar with the Switch 2 and these Joy-Cons.
Yeah, I think it's I'll think about it. Patrick Klepek was on here a few months back, and he reminded me about like how he reported on, hey, Nintendo's like quietly just done a lifetime repair thing for the Joy-Cons now. And when he posted that story, apparently like the next day, Nintendo got so many more RMA requests for Joy-Cons that they were like, holy shit, we messed up. This is bad. Man, we never should have done this. And then they never really did that lifetime thing in any other country. I think they might have started doing it in Japan. But so it's like, to get that sticker shock of like, oh my god, this was really expensive, we got to find a way to avoid this in the future. I think that might convince them, but short of that, it is very easy to look at one thing and look at another, and one thing costs less, and you have to make several million of those things. It's very easy to be like, well, let's just go with the cheaper option. And so I think they will. There's a strong chance they're going to continue doing that. Just look at the fact that the Switch 2 is reportedly going to launch with an LCD instead of an OLED. If you want to be disappointed, because you should prepare for disappointment with Nintendo in a lot of these things.
Yeah.
All right, a couple more stories. Nintendo says no new content for Mario Kart Tour after the 4th of October, 2023. This is from My Nintendo News. Mario Kart Tour initially proved to be a success for Nintendo when it launched back in 2019, offering a way for gamers on the go to dip into numerous tours, each filled with either a new or a classic revamped track. Today, Nintendo has announced on the game's news section that they won't be adding new content to the iOS and Android game from Wednesday, the 4th of October, going forward. Nintendo has been adding courses for Mario Kart Tour as DLC courtesy of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass, which is free for those with the sub to the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. Blah blah blah. This is about right. You could see other mobile games can go forever and ever, but that's like there's like 10 mobile games like that, maybe a little bit more. But I think if Candy Crush Saga has been around since 2012, it's just, of course, it's still number one. Clash of Clans, that's still going. But if you were like Nintendo, you run Mario Kart, you make hundreds of millions of dollars over a couple of years, and then you start seeing diminishing returns, eventually you just pull the plug on this, especially when you almost certainly have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Plus coming out for the Switch 2. I'm joking, of course. I hope they make a new Mario Kart. But I'm not too surprised by this. How about you, Cam?
Yeah, I mean, so part of it is actually surprising to me, simply because, like, if I remember correctly, Fire Emblem Heroes still gets support to this day.
Fire Emblem Heroes, I think, is the one that like did especially well. The audience was like super engaged with Fire Emblem Heroes. But
also, Fire Emblem Heroes does kind of have that gotcha aspect to it,
it's
where
very easy to monetize.
You're pulling the heroes and things like that. So, and with Mario Kart, like, I'm sure that they could have added new characters,
waifus.
new things.
They could have added waifus. Yeah.
Things that you could have like paid money for cosmetics and that, but like I don't think that works as well in Mario Kart than like some other IPs that they have. And also like this is Mario Kart 9. Like this just is what it is. Like it sucks that it's a mobile game, but this is Mario Kart 9.
Yep.
And I think that what they want to do is that they want to sunset this game, and they're finishing up the final wave of DLC for Mario Kart 8. I would expect within a year's time of the Switch 2's release, we're getting a new Mario Kart. We're gonna get the Mario Kart 10. It's gonna be like, the ultimate of the ultimate version. I think we're finally gonna get like more Nintendo characters, not just Mario characters, but Nintendo characters. They're basically gonna Super Smash Bros. Mario Kart.
Yep. I hope so.
Because why wouldn't they? Like, it just makes total sense. And so I think that is what they're gonna. I don't think, because there has been like this kind of like discussion, like, oh, is it gonna be? Are they gonna call it Nintendo Kart moving forward? And like, I think that's a terrible idea. Like, Mario Kart just has so much.
Oh yeah.
Identity. Like, rebranding it to Nintendo Kart would be really dumb.
Just do Mario and All Stars Kart transformed. That's what you call it. That's the easiest answer there. And then just spit on Sonic's grave while you're at it. Let's see. Last two stories. Leaker claims live-action Zelda movie is in production between Nintendo and Universal. My Nintendo news. Basically, the headline is the story here, Cam. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm okay with this. Whatever. I think it's better than what's the name of the studio that did the Mario movie? Illumination. I think it'd be better than them trying to figure out the tone of a Zelda movie. I kind of like. I don't think it would be impossible for them, even if they did it in their tone. If they kind of did a funny Zelda movie, I think that could be interesting. But I think that maybe is the kind of thing where it's like, those like Lego Star Wars shows that they put on Disney Plus and stuff like that, and that they've had on the like for years and years. I think like that's a good place for like an Illumination Nintendo stuff to exist, where it's like, this is the funny alternative to the real thing over here, and that's the Zelda live action movie. There's a lot of questions about how this would work, but Mario made so much money that of course they were going to do this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I am still a little surprised by how well Mario sold. Like, I did think it was going to do really well. I didn't think it was going to do this well. And I think that when they originally made this partnership, I'm sure that there were like multiple movies planned for this. Mario is obviously going to be the first, and then Zelda, and then we're probably going to get Mario 2 after that. And then I think that they're going to try and like do another IP that makes sense for them, that they think is marketable, that that's under that Nintendo banner. Yeah, Zelda is going to be interesting. I think that Zelda would be a harder series to try and make like as a comedic family type movie than Mario, especially with it being done by Illumination. Like, I think that if it was done by a different studio that can definitely make serious films, or like a more serious tone, that would be a little bit more interesting. Like if Studio Ghibli could do a Zelda movie, like that would be incredible.
Yes,
that'd be
that
incredible.
Would be fantastic, of course.
But this is Illumination. This is the studio that made the Minions and things like that. So who knows? I definitely think that again, this movie's definitely happening, but what it's going to look like, I couldn't tell you, and I don't know. I would be surprised if the initial response when the first trailer comes out is that Zelda fans are like all in on it. I think there's going to be a lot of like, I don't know about this, I don't know about that.
Yep.
So
I mean, everyone's got their idea of what it should be. I mean, I've kind of learned that recently with like people being like, the story of Tears of the Kingdom offends me as someone who has 7 copies of the Hyrule Historia. Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought it was pretty cool. So I think people are going to be bringing in their own desires and their own ideas of what Zelda should be and what Link should look and sound like, and that is going to be very difficult to translate into live action. Any sort of version of that, let alone the one that is going to please the most people. I think maybe you just got to just take a strong voice to it and say, hey, we are going to. We're going to translate this into a movie, and we are going to establish something that's new but still familiar to Zelda fans. It's probably the right move. Just do Ocarina of Time, though. That's what you do. Just do the Ocarina of Time story. That's pretty easy. I think I would like to watch a movie about that.
I am so dumb. I did not realize that we were talking that they were doing a live action. So I was talking about animation this entire time.
No, I mean, like, I'm still, because they will probably also have Illumination involved in all of these other Nintendo IP. I think another Illumination animated film of Zelda is still possible. So, like, everything you said still applies in some ways, I think. And I was curious, like why not Illumination, right? So it's like everything you said, I think, applies. So now they have, if they are going to do this live action with Universal, which makes a lot of sense. That's already like their closest.
I think that's more
partner.
of a right move to do Zelda in a live action sense, not an animated sense.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I do think we've seen examples where Nintendo can make Zelda charming and funny and more like kiddish.
Yes.
In that sense. But I think that people want like an epic, like an epic adventure, like of Link and Zelda fighting Ganondorf, like that type of thing.
I would 100% watch an Illumination Zelda Link's Awakening TV show about Link going on these funny, silly adventures in this weird dream world with all these talking animals and stuff. That would be cool. Make for a good show on Peacock or wherever the hell wherever it would show. But yeah, for a movie, live action's probably right. Doesn't mean that's like right to the point where it's going to be good. There's a lot of ways to beef that up, but we'll see. Last story, just real quick hit. Roblox is coming to PS4 and PS5. There's a whole bunch of other Roblox news. I'm not going to go
Makes
over that.
sense. It is a monolith at this point.
It is
and
gigantic.
It is doing some very questionable things on its platform, but outside of that, like it's I'm surprised it hasn't happened sooner.
Yeah, me too. It's PS4 and PS5, so it wasn't even on PS4. It's been on Xbox for years.
Yeah.
Okay, I have the poll from, let's see, yesterday. But before we do that, let's get these results. Cam, you picked. Let's see here. I have the things right here. Let's go over it again. So for the best RPGs for your JRPG console, you had Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VI, Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal. Now I'm looking at this list. Holy shit. Persona 4 Golden, Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door, Kingdom Hearts and Pokemon is what really did it, I think. Final Fantasy VII, Persona 5 Royal, this is mine now. Final Fantasy VII, Persona 5 Royal, Dragon Quest 11, Suikoden 2, Super Mario RPG, and Fire Emblem Awakening, which Mike's very mad because he thinks Fire Emblem Awakening is not a JRPG, and I'd entertain that. Listen, I'm just trying to get away with one. I mean, I didn't stand a chance as soon as he had a Pokemon game on there, and I didn't.
I mean, SRPGs, if they're Japanese, they're JRPGs. It's just, it's a tactics game. Yeah, like, they're JRPGs.
Eat shit, Mike Minotti. You heard him. All right, let's get to the results here. I put it on Twitter, and Cam Hawkins wins 57.5% to by 42.5% with 4,600, that's views, 1,007 votes. So, well done, Cam. That was, yes, as soon as you had Pokemon on there, and I did not have an answer to Pokemon, I was done, but I think Kingdom Hearts moved it as well. Good job. Well, I'll get my revenge someday. We'll come up with another one. I'll come back.
Yeah, we'll do something.
All right, let me go get the poll here. It's over here. Have you ever played? Oh no, wait, there we go. No, that's the new one. Have you ever played F-Zero GX? Yes or no? 45% say yes. 55% say no. I hope everyone gets a chance to play it soon. That would be ideal. Cam, you ever play F-Zero GX?
I have not. I have not played an F-Zero game.
F-Zero GX is the one to play at this point. It is a fantastic game. So if the rumors are true about that remake popping off soon, hopefully this week, at least getting announced, give it a try because that's a fantastic game. It's
yeah, I would definitely give it a try.
Since the speed is real good, it looked fantastic. The music, just a fantastic series. All right, we got a new poll. Do you think Elder Scrolls 6 comes out on this generation of consoles? Yes, but cross-gen with the next console, or no? I think,
Absolutely not.
I'm not going to bias it. I'll vote offline, everybody. All right. Everyone in chat's joyful. No fucking way.
No way.
Cam, thank you so much for taking today to talk with me about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for inviting me on.
Absolutely. We'll have you back for sure. Despite your Kingdom Hearts fandom. I promise. See, I'm magnanimous. I can even when you're a Kingdom Hearts fan, I'll have you on the show. Thank you, everybody, for watching. You're the best audience in gaming. We'll have more on Giant Bomb this week. We're going to go do a meeting about it here pretty soon. Bombcast tomorrow. I almost said Beastcast. Bombcast tomorrow. Wednesday, we'll be back with Game Mess Mornings. We'll try to do a Blight Club this week, all that stuff. Until then, though, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye. Okay, we are still hot mic'd as we are going to raid somebody. You got anybody who's online, Cam, that I should raid? Probably not. Monday mornings.